Black CEO kicked out of her own hotel 9 minutes. Later, she took it back floor by floor. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Get out now. The shout ripped through the hotel lobby like glass shattering on marble. His finger cut the air, sharp, trembling with anger. Every guest turned. Every head lifted. The chandelier above seemed to vibrate from the violence of his tone. He wasn't whispering. He wasn't hiding. He wanted an audience. And he had one. Behind him, a young woman in a navy blazer smiled faintly, as if the humiliation was entertainment. Another staffer leaned against the counter, arms folded, waiting for the moment security would be summoned. Around them, guests froze mid-step, a couple near the elevator. A man with a phone half raised. An older traveler clutching her bag tighter. The lobby was no longer quiet. It was charged. And at the center of it all stood a woman. She wore a plain black t-shirt, dark jeans, sneakers with no brand, no jewelry, no entourage, no visible wealth, just calm eyes, steady breath, and a silence that spoke louder than his rage. "You don't belong here," the manager barked again, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "This hotel isn't for people like you." Gasps. A whisper. Did he really say that? The man with the phone pressed record, the red light blinking like a warning siren. But she didn't move. She didn't argue. Her stillness filled the space. Because she had seen this before. At 25, when a clerk told her the system was down and made her wait outside until someone who looked right came in. At 32, when a concierge double-checked her ID 3 times, then said the suite had just been booked. The same tone, the same look, the same judgment. And here it was again. Lobby. Same story. But today was not like before. Because this lobby didn't belong to him. It belonged to her. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change, and we're glad you're here. Now, back to Aisha Carter. The manager's hand slammed against the counter, veins rising on his wrist. He leaned forward, spitting each word like a verdict. "You're not welcome here. Leave, or I'll have you removed." The blonde clerk's smirk widened. The guests looked at each other, uneasy. The red light on the camera kept glowing. And Aisha? She stood silent. Not passive, not weak, but anchored like a storm gathering beneath calm water. Everyone in that lobby was about to learn what silence really meant. Her name was Aisha Carter, 43, founder and CEO of the Horizon Group, a global hotel brand that stretched from Seattle to Singapore. But no one in that marble lobby knew that. Not yet. She'd walked in alone that morning. No security detail, no assistant carrying folders, no high heels clicking across the floor. Just quiet steps and the kind of stillness that made people underestimate her. The irony? Every inch of that lobby, the chandelier, the marble, even the signature scent pumping through the vents came from her company's design brief. She had chosen the art, approved the budget, signed the paychecks, and still the manager had looked at her and seen a problem to remove. At the front desk, Gregory Vance, hotel manager, straightened his tie like it could hide his arrogance. He leaned toward his staff, whispering just loud enough for others to hear. "Check her ID again. Probably fake." The blonde clerk Lauren, early 30s, perfect posture, nodded. She kept her smile small, polite on the surface, sharp underneath. Kevin, the junior clerk, folded his arms and added, "These people think a fancy card makes them somebody." They laughed soft, dismissive, the kind of laughter meant to sting quietly. Guests began to whisper. A tourist couple near the elevator started filming. Someone said, "This doesn't look right." Someone else replied, "Maybe it's a misunderstanding." But Aisha knew better. This wasn't misunderstanding. It was muscle memory. She placed her black card and ID on the counter. Calm, direct. "I have a reservation," she said. "Penthouse suite, under Carter." Gregory picked up the card like it was contaminated. He squinted, then turned it under the light. "You said Carter?" he asked, dragging out the syllables. "That's a very high-tier room. Are you sure you're in the right hotel?" Aisha didn't respond. Her eyes didn't leave his. The silence stretched long enough to make everyone uncomfortable. He pressed a button under the desk. Moments later, a low buzz echoed the call to security. Lauren smirked. "Just protocol," she said. Kevin leaned over the counter. "You might want to step aside before this gets messy." But Aisha stayed still, unmoved. Across the lobby, a young woman at the concierge desk, Elena, 27, looked up. Her eyes met Aisha's for a fraction of a second. Recognition flickered. Concern followed. Aisha nodded once, a silent exchange that said, "It's okay, I've been here before." Gregory leaned forward again, his voice louder now. "You're holding up paying guests. If you don't leave, we'll remove you." Aisha's tone stayed even. "You're making a mistake." He laughed. "I doubt that." What Gregory didn't realize was that Aisha's phone resting quietly on the counter beside her ID had already lit up. One silent tap had triggered a secure connection to her executive assistant 3 blocks away. And on the other end, a voice had already whispered, "System ready." The storm hadn't even started yet, but every second of it was already being logged. The sound came first, the low thud of heavy boots on marble. Security. 2 guards in Navy uniforms appeared from the hallway, broad-shouldered radio straps cutting across their chests. One of them, Miller, mid-42nds, had that look part authority, part exhaustion, all assumption. "What's the problem here?" he asked. Gregory pointed without hesitation. "That woman. She's trying to check into a suite she doesn't belong in. We've already verified her ID is fake." Aisha didn't even look at him. Her gaze stayed steady on Miller. "Would you like to see it for yourself?" Miller hesitated, caught off guard by her calmness. Gregory stepped in again, faster, louder. "No need. We'll handle it internally. She's wasting everyone's time." The blonde clerk, Lauren, added sweetly, "We've had a lot of scams lately. You never know." Her tone was sugar-coated prejudice. Kevin leaned on the counter, smirking. "I can call the police if you want it official." The guests near the elevator gasped. Someone whispered, "They're really doing this." Miller crossed his arms. "Ma'am, do you have proof of your reservation?" Aisha's fingers brushed the countertop once, calm as ever. "I gave it to him," she said, nodding at Gregory. "He locked it away." Miller frowned. "Is that true?" Gregory stiffened. "Standard procedure." Elena, the young concierge, spoke up from her desk. "Sir, I saw the reservation this morning. It's valid." Gregory's head snapped around. "Elena, that's enough." She hesitated, eyes flicking between him and Aisha. Her voice steadied. "It's under A. Carter, penthouse suite." The silence that followed was a living thing, heavy, electric. Lauren's fake smile faltered. Kevin shifted uneasily. Even Miller looked unsure. Gregory broke first. "Elena, step away from the desk," he snapped. "You're out of line." Aisha finally spoke again, voice low, unwavering. "She's not out of line, she's honest." Then she turned to Miller. "If you need verification, check the internal system. You'll find my name in every file that matters." Something in her tone, controlled, deliberate, made Miller pause. Gregory noticed it too, and panic flickered beneath his polished arrogance. He slammed the desk bell hard, a sharp metallic ding, echoing through the room. "Call upper management," he barked. "Now." Lauren picked up the desk phone, fumbling slightly. "On it." Across the lobby, the man recording zoomed in closer. The red light blinked steady. The comment section on his live stream began to flood. "She's calm. He's scared. That's power right there. Don't stop filming." Aisha didn't acknowledge the camera. Her focus never left Gregory. "You've made your accusation," she said evenly. "Now make your call." Gregory sneered. "Oh, I will." He turned his back and dialed. But Aisha already knew the outcome because the line he was calling now ran through her company's private network. Every second was being recorded, archived, and time-stamped under one simple label: Bias Report, Horizon Grand, 10:40, y 2 a.m. Aisha looked toward Elena again. "Thank you," she said softly. Elena nodded, heart pounding, eyes bright. The lobby had shifted. The power wasn't loud anymore. It had changed hands quietly, completely, and no one had noticed yet. The phone on the counter still buzzed in Lauren's hand, but no one was speaking. Even the air seemed to hesitate. For the first time since the shouting began, the lobby went still. Aisha stood in that silence like it belonged to her, her breathing steady, her posture unbending. Her calm wasn't weakness, it was a mirror, forcing everyone else to see themselves clearly. Miller, the head of security, shifted his weight. He'd handled fights, drunks, and midnight arguments, but never a guest who fought with silence. His eyes flicked between Gregory's flushed face and Aisha's unreadable expression. Gregory tried to fill the quiet. "Don't play games with me," he said, voice tight. "We know this trick people come in with fake cards and fake names. You think acting calm makes you credible?" Aisha finally looked at him, not blinking, not smiling. "No," she said softly. "Integrity does." The sentence hung there like smoke. Lauren's eyes darted to the guests behind them. They were still filming. A man whispered, "She's not afraid." Aisha's phone buzzed once on the counter. She tapped the screen, a single motion that unlocked the encrypted link to her assistant. No one noticed. On the other end of that signal, a quiet voice was already recording. "Timestamp confirmed descente 45 varmex." Aisha folded her hands. Her stillness started to make the others unravel. Gregory leaned closer, lowering his voice as if intimidation could restore his authority. "You're going to regret this." She tilted her head slightly. "Do you say that to every woman who doesn't flinch?" For a heartbeat, he froze. Lauren's hand trembled on the receiver. Kevin's smirk vanished. Miller cleared his throat. "Maybe we should de-escalate." But Gregory snapped. "No, she's trespassing." Then louder, "Security, escort her out." Miller hesitated. "Sir, she hasn't raised her voice. She's not resisting," Gregory barked. "Then do your job." The command cracked through the air, but no one moved. Guests had their phones raised now, recording every second. One woman said under her breath, "He's digging his own grave." Aisha turned her gaze toward the chandelier above, the same one she'd approved 3 years ago during construction. Each crystal reflected tiny fragments of light, refracting across the marble hundreds of versions of this same moment. She'd imagined this lobby as a place of welcome. Now it mirrored something else, ignorance dressed as authority. When she looked back down, her voice was steady. "You're right," she said. "This will end today." Gregory scoffed. "You think anyone cares?" "I don't need them to care," Aisha replied. "I need them to remember." The quiet returned, heavier this time. Every second of it belonged to her. Lauren set the phone back on the hook with shaking fingers. Miller lowered his radio. Even the tourists filming forgot to breathe. In that frozen space between arrogance and consequence, Aisha stood anchored, deliberate, unshakable. Her silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy, because some storms don't arrive with thunder. They arrive with certainty. It started with a sound no one expected, a small voice cutting through the tension. "Sir," Elena said quietly from her desk. "Her name is in the system." Gregory turned, his glare sharp enough to cut glass. "What did you just say?" Elena swallowed, but didn't look away. "I checked it this morning. Penthouse suite. Under A. Carter." The silence that followed was immediate, total. Even the guests stopped whispering. Miller, the guard, frowned. "So she does have a reservation." Gregory's jaw tightened. "Probably a glitch." "How wait?" Lauren jumped in. "Yeah, our system's been buggy lately." But her voice cracked mid-sentence. From near the elevators, the man filming stepped closer, his phone still up. "You're saying her name's in the system and you called security anyway?" Gregory spun. "Turn that off." But it was too late. Across the lobby, 2 more phones went up. A mother with her teenage daughter, a young couple with coffee cups, all watching, all recording. The red lights blinked like quiet witnesses. Aisha didn't turn to face them. She didn't need to. Her focus stayed on Gregory, her calm unshaken. "You called me a fraud," she said, voice low but clear, "in front of people who are now your evidence." Kevin muttered, "This is getting out of hand." Lauren whispered, "Greg, maybe we should just—" He cut her off with a wave. "Don't back down. Not now." Elena's voice trembled but held its ground. "You can't keep pretending the system's wrong. It's not." Gregory glared at her. "You want to lose your job over this?" Elena took a breath, her chin lifting just slightly. "If telling the truth costs my job, maybe it's not the place I want to work." Gasps rippled through the guests. Someone clapped once, then stopped, unsure if they were allowed. Aisha looked at Elena, the faintest nod of gratitude in her eyes. In that moment, it wasn't about ownership or power. It was about recognition. Someone finally saw her not as a suspect, but as human. Gregory turned red. "That's enough. Security, get her out, both of them." Miller didn't move. He looked around the lobby, at the phones, at the people. "I'm not touching anyone," he said flatly. "Not with all those cameras." Lauren exhaled sharply. Greg, everyone's filming. He snapped back. Then let them. But his voice cracked halfway through. Authority was leaking out of him, drop by drop. Aisha's phone buzzed again. A soft light glowed on the screen. Her assistant's voice came through her earpiece. Quiet, professional. Ma'am, internal monitoring is live. Every second is being logged. Aisha didn't answer aloud. She simply whispered, Good. Then she turned toward the growing circle of guests. You've all seen enough, she said, her voice carrying without effort. Now you'll see what happens when truth stands still. No one spoke. No one left. Even the hotel's background music had stopped. Somewhere above them, the chandelier hummed from the air conditioning, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat counting down. And for the first time, Gregory realized this wasn't just a confrontation. It was a reckoning, and the entire lobby was the witness stand. Gregory's voice rose first, not strong, but desperate. Turn off those phones, he barked. No one did. Every lens in the lobby turned toward him instead. His face flushed red, his hand slammed against the counter. She's a fraud. I said it once. I'll say it again. This woman doesn't belong here. The words bounced off the marble, off the glass, off the quiet disbelief in every guest's face. Even Miller, the head of security, stepped back half a pace. Lauren's hand flew to her mouth. Kevin stared at the floor. Aisha didn't move. Her silence was heavier than his shouting. When she finally spoke, her voice was measured, almost soft. You should stop now. Gregory sneered. Or what? Aisha's eyes held his. Or the story you're writing will end with your name on it. He laughed too loudly, too forced. Oh, you're recording me? You think a few viral clips can hurt my career? Across the lobby, someone muttered. They already have. Lauren whispered urgently. Greg, please, just check the system again. But Gregory was too far gone. I don't need to check anything, he roared. I run this place. Aisha tilted her head. For now. Oh. The words were quiet, but they cut through the room like steel. Miller's radio crackled softly, static breaking the tension. He didn't lift it. He didn't want to be part of this anymore. Then came the click of heels on marble. Elena had stepped out from behind the concierge desk. Her hands were shaking, but her voice wasn't. Sir, you need to stop. You're embarrassing the hotel. Gregory turned on her. Go back to your desk before you regret it. Elena stood her ground. I already do. A ripple of gasps. Someone near the elevators whispered, She's brave. Another added, She's right. Gregory's composure cracked. You're all fired, he shouted, though no one worked for him except the people standing beside him. The absurdity of it hung in the air. Even Lauren's eyes widened. She stepped back slightly. Greg, please. This is going too far. He pointed again at Aisha. You! Out! Now! Aisha exhaled slowly. The faint buzz in her earpiece returned her assistant's calm voice. Corporate ethics has joined the live feed, ma'am. They're watching. Good, Aisha whispered. Her voice shifted not louder, but steadier, commanding. You said you run this place. So tell me, Gregory, when was your last compliance audit? He blinked. What? Your last bias training? She continued. The one you signed off on but didn't attend? Lauren froze. Kevin swallowed hard. Even Miller glanced sideways, realizing this woman knew far more than she should. Gregory's lips parted, but no sound came out. The color drained from his face. Aisha took a step closer, calm, deliberate. I'm giving you a chance to stop before this escalates further. He tried to recover, voice shaking. You don't scare me. I don't need to, she replied. The truth already does. From across the lobby, the live streamer whispered, This is it. She's turning it around. His camera panned to capture Gregory's trembling hands and the woman who never raised her voice once. The power in the room had shifted completely. Gregory just hadn't realized it yet. Gregory's patience snapped like glass under pressure. Enough, he shouted, voice cracking. Lauren, take her card. We'll hold it until the police arrive. The blonde clerk blinked, startled. Sir, we can't. Do it. Lauren hesitated, then reached over the counter with trembling fingers. Aisha's black card still sat beside her phone, untouched since she placed it there. When Lauren's hand brushed against it, Aisha simply looked up calm, steady, unyielding. Are you sure that's a good idea? Lauren froze mid-motion, but Gregory's bark snapped her forward. Now, Lauren. She snatched the card and stepped back quickly, as if holding evidence of a crime. Gregory took it from her, pinching the edges like it might stain him. This, he said loudly, is company property until verified. Miller frowned. That's not protocol. Gregory shot him a look. I said until verified. Guests gasped. Phones rose higher. Someone whispered, he just stole her card. Aisha's posture didn't change. Her silence pressed against the walls. When she finally spoke, her tone was razor-thin and precise. You just turned a bad decision into a legal one. Gregory ignored her. Kevin, he snapped. Lock it up. Safe drawer 3. Kevin hesitated, eyes darting between them. Sir, maybe we should just wait. Do it. The young clerk obeyed. He opened the small steel safe behind the counter, placed the card inside, and slammed the door. The metallic click echoed through the lobby like a verdict. Gregory smirked, dusting off his hands. There, he said. Problem solved. But nothing felt solved. The air thickened heavier, charged. Aisha didn't move an inch. Then softly, You're sure you want to keep that safe closed? Gregory's laugh came too fast. What are you going to do, call corporate? Aisha tilted her head slightly. No, she said. They're already listening. A beat passed just long enough for confusion to ripple through his face. Then her phone screen lit up with a small notification. Live sync. Horizon legal active. Miller saw it. So did Elena. Lauren took a step back. Kevin swallowed hard. Gregory leaned in, trying to salvage control. You think I care about your little game? I'll call the cops right now. He grabbed the desk phone and dialed, his finger jabbing the keypad with fury. Seattle PD, he announced loudly. We have a trespasser claiming false identity. Gasps. Every guest turned. Even Miller's voice cracked as he said, Sir, please, this isn't right. Gregory didn't care. He was pacing now, adrenaline and arrogance tangled together. She's impersonating a VIP, possibly using a stolen card. Send a unit. Aisha looked at him for a long moment, not angry, not afraid, just sad. Then she whispered, almost to herself, history really does repeat itself. Her phone buzzed again. In her earpiece, her assistant's voice was calm, steady, surgical. Ma'am, Horizon Legal confirms active feed. Video, audio, timestamp logged. Thank you, Nia, she said quietly. Then louder so that everyone heard. I want every word of this recorded. The crowd murmured. Phones shifted. The live streamer whispered, She's building her case. Gregory slammed the phone down. You're done, he hissed. You hear me? Done. Aisha looked up slowly. No, she said. You are. For the first time, Gregory stepped back. Not because of her volume, but because of her certainty. Something in her tone told him the game had already ended. He just hadn't realized which side lost. The room was frozen. Gregory's voice still echoed faintly, but his power had already left the air. Every guest could feel it a shift, quiet but undeniable. Aisha reached for her phone, not hurried, not flustered, deliberate. One tap unlocked the encrypted screen. The faint chime was softer than a whisper, but it carried like thunder. Protocol 1, she said. Somewhere, miles away in a glass office tower, her assistant Nia Thompson leaned forward over a keyboard. Confirmed, ma'am, came the calm reply through Aisha's earpiece. All systems active. Internal feed open. Do you wish to proceed with escalation? Yes, Aisha said. Record everything. Notify legal and corporate HR. Gregory scoffed, trying to mask confusion with arrogance. What, you calling a lawyer? You think that scares me? Aisha didn't answer him. She turned slightly toward Elena. Elena Ruiz, she said softly. How long have you worked here? Elena blinked, startled that Aisha knew her name. Almost 3 years, she said. Aisha nodded. Have you ever seen an incident report for staff profiling? Elena hesitated. No, I've filed 3, but they were all ignored. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A man filming muttered, Ignored? Wow, Gregory snapped. That's confidential information. You can't. Aisha's voice sliced through him. You ignored reports of discrimination in your own lobby. Her tone never rose, but every syllable landed like a verdict. And now you've created your own. Lauren's face went pale. Kevin shifted nervously. Miller looked like he wanted to vanish. The sound of typing echoed faintly through Aisha's earpiece. Documentation complete, Nia said. Would you like me to tag all on-site personnel by ID badge? Aisha's gaze swept the room calm, exact. Do it. Gregory tried to interrupt, voice trembling. You think this little act of yours, Aisha raised a hand, and he stopped talking. Even he didn't know why. You made 3 mistakes today, she said evenly. First, you profiled a guest based on appearance. Second, you violated property rights by seizing my card. And third, she stepped closer, you assumed silence meant weakness. Gasps broke out. The live streamer whispered into his mic. She's laying him out. A comment scrolled across his screen. Calm power hits different. Gregory tried to recover. You're bluffing. You don't have the authority to... Aisha's phone vibrated once. Nia's voice came through, firm this time. Ma'am, confirmation received. Legal team connected. HR representative online. Aisha turned the screen toward him. On it, a live video feed glowed 3 faces from corporate headquarters staring directly at Gregory. Would you like to repeat that? She asked. His mouth opened, then shut. Behind him, Lauren whispered, Greg. He didn't move. Nia's voice continued in her ear. Awaiting your directive, Miss Carter. The way she said the name Miss Carter made several guests gasp. Elena's eyes widened, realization dawning fast. She whispered, Wait, Carter? As in, Horizon Carter? Aisha didn't confirm. She didn't need to. She looked back at Gregory and said, simply, Begin internal verification audit. Lock this branch until further notice. Nia replied, Yes, ma'am, executing now. The lights in the lobby flickered for half a second, just enough to hint that something far bigger had been set in motion. And in that instant, the man who thought he controlled this hotel realized he had just been operating inside her system all along. The lights steadied. Every eye in the lobby turned toward Aisha, drawn not by noise but by gravity. Even the hum of the air conditioner seemed to fade beneath the silence that followed. Gregory stood frozen behind the counter, his phone half raised, his confidence half gone. What did you just do? He stammered. Aisha didn't answer immediately. She lifted her phone again, the glow from the screen reflecting in her eyes. Behind her, the guests instinctively drew closer, not to interfere, but to witness. From the earpiece came Nia's voice, clear and precise. Verification audit confirmed. Horizon Grand property tag active. Ownership record under Horizon Group. Chairwoman, Aisha Renee Carter. The words cut through the air like thunder in slow motion. Elena gasped first. Her hand flew to her mouth. Wait, you're that Carter? Aisha met her gaze, calm and sure. I am. A murmur rolled through the room, disbelief, awe, apology, all tangled together. Someone near the elevator whispered, Oh my God, she owns this place. The live streamer's voice trembled. Y'all heard that? She's the owner. Gregory's lips parted, color draining from his face. He looked down at the counter as if the marble itself had betrayed him. That's impossible, he muttered. If that's true, then... It is true, Aisha interrupted. And the moment you called the police on me, every department I oversee received the alert. The words were soft but lethal. Lauren stepped back until her shoulder hit the glass partition. Kevin whispered, Boss, what do we do? Gregory swallowed hard. Miss Carter, I didn't realize. No, Aisha said. You didn't want to realize. The statement landed heavier than any accusation. She walked slowly around the counter, her steps echoing against the marble floor she had approved years ago. No one stopped her. Even Miller lowered his eyes. When she reached Gregory, she placed her phone on the counter between them. The screen displayed a corporate dashboard, his name highlighted in red, status blinking, under review. You spent 10 minutes deciding I didn't belong here, she said quietly. Now watch how long it takes to prove I do. Gregory's throat tightened. Please, he whispered. I was just following procedure. Aisha's eyes didn't soften. No procedure starts with prejudice. The crowd held its breath. A woman whispered, That's the quote. Aisha turned toward Elena. Thank you for speaking up, she said. Elena nodded, tears threatening at the edges of her composure. Then Aisha addressed everyone, her tone measured, unhurried, absolute. For years, I've built hotels that promised welcome to every guest. But sometimes, welcome needs to be enforced. She looked back at Gregory. So here's how that works. She tapped the screen once. A tone chimed from the building's speaker system. Low, resonant, official. Nia's voice came through again. Branch control transferred. Local management suspended pending review. Gregory blinked. Suspended? Aisha met his eyes. No, she said. Removed. A collective gasp spread through the lobby. Lauren's ID badge lit red. So did Kevin's. Miller took a slow step back, realization dawning like sunrise. The power had changed hands cleanly, publicly, irrevocably. Gregory tried to speak, but the words failed him. Aisha simply picked up her phone and said, "Reset guest access. Open swipe Carter 1. The system beeped in compliance, and in that marble silence, everyone understood the woman they tried to expel had just taken back her entire kingdom with a single command. The lobby was no longer a room, it was a stage, and everyone knew who the lead was now. Gregory's mouth opened and closed, words collapsing under their own fear. The red light on his badge blinked like a heartbeat out of rhythm. When he tried to log into his terminal, the screen flashed once, a cease, S's denied. Lauren's voice broke the silence. "Miss Carter, please, I didn't mean—" But Aisha didn't look at her. She was staring at the reflection of herself in the glass wall opposite, calm, unflinching, resolute. Kevin pressed his badge to the scanner again, desperate. Nothing. A soft beep and another flash of red. Miller stepped forward, hands raised halfway. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "I didn't know who you were. I was just doing your job?" Aisha finished for him. He nodded, eyes down. She studied him for a beat. "Then I suggest you start learning what that job really means." A hush spread through the crowd. No one dared to move. Elena stood near the concierge desk, still trembling, unsure if she should speak. When Aisha finally turned to her, it felt like sunlight after a storm. "Elena," she said softly, "stay." Those two words hit harder than any applause. The young woman's shoulders shook with relief. Guests nearby smiled. Some even clapped small, nervous bursts of hope in a room that had been poisoned by fear minutes earlier. Then Aisha faced Gregory again. He was sweating now, the confidence long gone. "Miss Carter," he said quickly, "I can explain. This was a misunderstanding." She took one step closer. "Then explain to me," she said, "how a misunderstanding starts with the words, 'people like you.'" Gregory's jaw tight. Behind him, Lauren whispered, "Greg, stop talking." He didn't. "I was protecting the property," he said. "You walked in unannounced, dressed like—" He stopped himself too late. Aisha's eyes narrowed. "Like what?" No answer. Around them, phones lifted higher. The live streamer whispered into his mic, "He just said it again. He's done." Viewers flooded the chat hearts, fire emojis, and lines like, "Justice served in real time." Lauren's face crumpled. "Please, Miss Carter, I need this job." Aisha's tone stayed measured. "Then you should have protected the brand that paid you." She turned to Kevin. "You locked away my card. Why?" He stuttered. "Greg told me to." "Did you think?" She cut in. "No, ma'am." "Then learn." Miller stepped between them gently. "Miss Carter, what happens now?" Aisha's gaze swept the room, the staff, the guests, the phones, the truth suspended in the air like dust in sunlight. "What happens now," she said, "is accountability." At that moment, Nia's voice returned in her earpiece. "Corporate HQ confirms full control transfer. Legal and PR teams are live monitoring. Do you want us to release the statement?" Aisha's reply was calm, almost tender. "Not yet. I want them to see it first." She turned to the crowd, voice carrying effortlessly. "You've all witnessed something today. Remember it. Because silence didn't fix this, truth did." A man near the doorway whispered, "She just ended them." A woman added, "With grace." Gregory sank into the nearest chair, head in his hands. Lauren's mascara streaked down her cheek. Kevin stood still, pale, motionless. And Elena, still behind the desk, took a long breath, the first one that didn't hurt. The live streamer whispered to his camera. She didn't raise her voice once. And somehow, she owned the room. The lobby had gone weightless, suspended in that strange quiet that follows impact. Every breath felt borrowed, every sound too sharp. Aisha turned her phone so everyone could see the glowing interface, a dashboard lined with names, roles, and access statuses. Gregory's line blinked pending termination. Lauren's read under review. Kevin's flagged for misconduct. She didn't raise her voice. "Carla," she said into her earpiece, "begin the removal process." A new voice answered, smooth, deliberate, impossible to ignore. "Confirmed, Miss Carter. Executing now." Gregory blinked, disbelieving. What does that mean?" A small chime echoed from the ceiling speaker, then 3 simultaneous beeps. Red lights flared across the staff badges. Lauren gasped. "Wait, no, please." Her badge blinked again, then went dark. Kevin's followed, then Gregory's. Miller stepped back instinctively. He'd seen people escorted out before, but never like this, never with such precision, such finality. Aisha's tone stayed measured. Your access to the Horizon system has been revoked. Effective immediately. Security protocols will escort you out once I'm finished here. Gregory stumbled a step forward. Miss Carter, please, I was only... Only what? She asked. Doing your job? You're right, and I'm doing mine. Lauren started crying quietly. Kevin looked down at the floor, whispering to no one. We didn't know. Aisha's eyes softened, but only slightly. Knowing isn't the point, she said. Learning is. Then she addressed the guests, her voice rising just enough to fill the space. If any of you were made to feel unwelcome here, you have my apology. This hotel was built on the idea that every guest matters. That principle was violated today. It won't be again. Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then growing. A few clapped with conviction, others just nodded, but the energy shifted. Justice had become visible. Gregory stared at the marble floor, his reflection warped by the shine. He looked smaller now, not because of his posture, but because of perspective. When he finally spoke, his voice cracked. I'll lose everything. Aisha met his gaze. No, she said quietly. You'll keep something the memory of why you lost it. Her words settled over the room like judgment and mercy at once. Nia's voice returned in her earpiece. Terminations confirmed. System log complete. Would you like to release the press notice? Aisha's reply came steady. Yes, use the headline. Accountability implemented in real time. Understood, ma'am. The live streamer whispered into his mic. She just ended 3 careers in 30 seconds. Comments flooded in. That's leadership. She didn't scream, she just dismantled them. Power. Absolute power. Aisha pocketed her phone, the faint click echoing louder than any applause. Then she looked at Elena. Lock the desk after they leave. HR will contact you tonight. You'll have an offer letter waiting in the morning. Elena's eyes widened. Ma'am, thank you. Aisha nodded once. This brand needs people who remember what respect looks like. The automatic doors slid open, a gust of cold air brushing through the lobby. Security approached silently. Gregory and his staff followed, heads bowed, the cameras trailing every step. And as the doors closed behind them, Aisha turned back toward the guests, her presence steady, unshaken, sovereign. The storm had passed. What remained was order. The lobby exhaled. For the first time in 20 minutes, silence felt clean again. The guests slowly lowered their phones, glancing at one another, unsure whether they'd just witnessed justice or history. The air smelled faintly of steel and citrus, the hotel's signature scent blending with the strange electricity of truth. Aisha stood alone in the center of the marble floor. No security, no entourage, just her, the woman they'd tried to remove from her own domain. Behind her, the glass doors slid closed, cutting off the sound of the city outside. It was only her reflection now, calm, deliberate, immovable. The kind of reflection that doesn't just show who you are, but what you've endured. Elena stepped forward carefully. Miss Carter, would you like me to escort you to your suite? Aisha smiled faintly. No, Elena. I built this lobby to feel safe for anyone walking in. I'll walk myself. Elena nodded, still fighting tears. You just changed everything, she whispered. Not everything, Aisha said softly. Just what needed changing. She turned toward the guests, still lingering near the elevators. Some clapped again, small, uncertain gestures of admiration. A few mouthed thank you. One man called out, We're with you, Miss Carter. She gave a single nod, gracious, but firm. Then, with the poise of someone who never needed validation, she spoke one final time. I've been told my whole life to stay quiet, she said. That silence meant grace. That patience was proof of character. But silence without consequence only feeds the problem. Today, silence spoke, and it ended what shouting never could. The words settled deep into the room, heavy yet liberating. The live streamer caught every syllable. Comments poured in faster than he could read. Queen energy, real power, this is how you lead. Aisha picked up her phone one last time. Carla, she said, restore the lobby operations, and make sure the staff who stood for what's right get bonuses. Oh, already done, ma'am. She smiled. Good. Then she looked toward the glass doors, sunlight cutting through the city haze outside. Each step she took echoed slow, measured, final. Guests parted instinctively, making way for her like water yielding to gravity. At the threshold, she paused and turned back once. Gregory's chair sat empty, the desk still glowing faintly red from his locked-out system. Aisha's gaze lingered for just a second, not with spite, but with clarity. Then she said, low but resonant enough for every person to hear, "I don't need to record injustice. I correct it." And with that, she walked out. The doors slid shut behind her, sealing the moment in glass and memory. Inside, the lobby lights steadied bright, unbroken, alive again. Outside, the world kept turning, unaware that inside one building, a quiet revolution had just taken place. And in every phone that captured it, every witness who stood frozen in awe, one truth echoed louder than applause. Power doesn't need permission, it just needs purpose.